Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Low Budget Review Show. I am your host, Eric Smith. Today, I am talking about The Dead Inside by Chandler Morrison, and this is from Death's Head Press. There's some back cover illustration for you. All right, controversial book this is. Before I get into the review and everything, let me just say the reason I read this book at this time is for no reason at all. Um, I have been recently going through the thousands of books I have and paring my collection down, going through finding books that I thought were okay, but I don't really care about having in my collection. I'm not going to reread them or anything. Not keeping them for sentimental value, or in the rare case, books that I've had for so long and have never read them and don't see myself reading them in the future. And taking them to half price books. It's just a matter of, just getting them out of here. So I really don't have room. And this book, I will say, has been on the razor's edge a couple of times as I've gone through my books. Because I've heard a few people say they've enjoyed it. A lot of people say it's horrible. And I've not read Chandler Morrison before. I don't think I've read any Chandler Morrison short stories or anything. So I would look at it and say, is this the time that I take it to half price books? And then I would put it back. Because I'm not a scaredy cat. I'm not going to be scared away from reading something potentially controversial. And I have heard some people say they enjoyed it. And so after I had finished reading the last book that I read, had no idea what I was in the mood for. So I was just going through my shelves, going through my book carts. And as soon as I spotted this, I said, it's time. Let's read it. And you know what? Here we go. I'm jumping right in. For the too long didn't watch, folks, 4 out of 5 stars. I really liked this book. Now, essentially, it's told in first person, and our main character is a college student and a security guard at a hospital on the night shift, and he had, well, you know what? A young hospital security guard with a disturbingly unique taste in women, a maternity doctor with a horrifically unusual appetite. When the two of them meet, they embark on a journey of self-discovery while shattering societal norms and engaging in destructively aberrant behavior. As they unwittingly help each other understand a world in which neither of them seems to belong, they begin to realize what it truly means to be alive, and that it might not always be a good thing. So, back cover copy. What else do you need to know? Okay, this book is disgusting. There are some scenes that I can completely understand being offensive to a huge number of people. I was not offended by these scenes. First of all, it's fiction. Second of all, the fact that the security guard guy is the narrator of the story puts everything in a certain context, if that makes sense. Essentially, we're in the head of a sociopath. I believe sociopath would be the proper term. He talks about the fact that he does not fit in. He doesn't understand human interaction and emotions and these things. He understands that, this is how I believe I'm supposed to react to this thing. So here's my trying to be that way. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that he is the one telling the story gives context to what's going on. And I have to say, this book is filled with dark humor. It is a funny book. I laughed out loud a number of times. It is incredibly disgusting, it is incredibly disturbing, and it is very funny. I think it's very well written. It's smartly written. And again, while I can see how people would be offended by some of the things that happen in this book, that's the story the author, Chandler Morrison, has chosen to tell, and he tells it well. It's interesting. I think Edward Lee can get away with some of his most over the top things because they are so over the top that they become funny. And in this, there's a touch of that, but I don't think it's goes as far as Edward Lee. And again, I think that's another reason people might find this more offensive than, say, something that Edward Lee had written. But I find the character very interesting. I find being in the character's head very interesting. And we're taking a journey with this character. And this isn't some, I keep saying in the character's head, this isn't some stream of consciousness thing. It's a very straightforward narrative just being told by this character. And there is character growth. There is, as much as a sociopath can, there is an arc to the story. It's not just random acts of violence. There's a reason that this story is being told at this time by this character. I have never read American Psycho. I love the movie. I know it's different than the book. At least that's what I've been told. I've tried reading American Psycho, and I just can't stand the way it's written. But, if I'm not mistaken, that is told in the first person. It's Patrick Bateman telling us the story. And there was a point in this book where it just sort of put me in mind, even though I've never read it and I'm not comparing it in a literary sense to American Psycho. I think if you've read that, you'll understand what I'm talking about when I talk about being in this character's head. I know people that love American Psycho, but I've tried. I can't even get through the first few pages. I just the way it's written just bugs the hell out of me. And again, I've said this many times in the past, with so many books to read, I'm not going to force myself to read something that I'm not getting into. So there's my little sidebar on American Psycho. But I did think, again, because this is in first person with a sociopath telling us the story, put me in mind of what I know of American Psycho. Except, I don't know about the book. I know the movie is very controversial in, did it really happen? Is it all in his head? This, at no point is there, as far as I know, any question about whether or not the events in this book are in the character's head. It's all real. For a piece of fiction. Within the world of the fiction. It's all real. And it's disgusting. And it's entertaining. I liked it. I really liked it. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. So Dead Inside by Chandler Morrison. Absolutely not for everybody. But if you can stomach the incredibly disgusting scenes, I just want to make it clear to people. This is not a book for everybody. But if you're a fan of Edward Lee, Wrath James White, Judith Sonnet, those types of authors, I think you might dig this. It goes incredibly far. There's a movie I want to mention, but I'm not going to, because I think by mentioning that specific movie, it might give away something that happens in the book. There's a very controversial horror movie that I was reminded of that while reading this book. So yeah, if you can stomach it, I recommend this book. Chandler Morrison, Dead Inside, 4 out of 5 stars. I really liked it. It's such. I'm. I shouldn't say that I'm surprised, but I was surprised at how well written and intelligent the book truly is. Um, and I have another book by Chandler Morrison, hashtag Thigh Gap, but I'm definitely going to pick up more. Uh, I think his writing is very, very good. It's just some people might not get behind the subject matter, but there you have it. Um, that is my review. And my question for this video: how far is too far? Is there too far? Is there a line as a reader you will not cross? Um, just recently, as of this recording, there have been some people on social media talking about certain lines. And I'm not going to name any names, but somebody posted that they do not want animal death in their books. They can accept it if it is integral to the plot of the story, but if it's just, as they put it, paraphrasing, but if it's just there to show how bad the bad guy is, or how edgy the author is, that they killed off this dog or this cat, they don't want it. They're not interested. They draw the line. They're not going to read your book. And then some other people came in and said, I don't think there's a line, blah, 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 blah. I don't like this. Some people said, I don't like this. I don't like that. I, so far, have not found that line, as long as as long as you're not writing some racist, homophobic, whatever thesis in your story. I haven't found the line. There was nothing in Dead Inside that crossed any line for me. Wrath James White, 400 days of, what's the name of it? I don't remember the full title, but there was nothing in 400 days of something. Wow. There was nothing in that crossed a line for me. A lot of people talked about how that book was racist, but I think those are people that, I'm trying to look it up. I think those are people that didn't get what the book was saying. I want to say it's 400 Days of Oppression, but let's take a quick see if Google is my friend. Yeah, 400 Days of Oppression. Excuse me. Nothing in that book crossed the line. Nothing in The Resurrectionist by Wrath James White crossed the line for me. But again, if it's a horribly written, I'm not interested. But I have yet to find anything in any of the extreme horror that I've read that crosses a line for me. Again, unless a book is blatantly racist, or blatantly homophobic, or blatantly xenophobic, or whatever it is, and not that's what the book is showing, the stupidity of racism or homophobia or whatever, but it's clear that the author is either actually feels this way or is just writing this to be edgy. To me, that's just bad writing, not about necessarily crossing a line. So as far as content goes, I mean, I'm not saying there isn't there might be a book that I read someday and I go, this went too far. But if it's well written and there's a reason for it, I don't know if that's going to happen. But I'm always open to the possibility. But what about you? Is there a line? What is the thing you refuse to see in your fiction? And that's the thing. It's fiction. These things didn't really happen. It's all in someone's head. So I don't know why. Well, I do know why people would find it offensive. It's really disgusting. But again, it doesn't bother me. As long as it's well written and I'm entertained, that's what fiction is for me. But what about you? Let me know in the comments below. If you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put those in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. Just post a spoiler warning. We try to be polite here at the Low Budget Review Show. Please like, share, and subscribe, all the usual YouTube stuff. If you'd care to follow me on other social media, my Twitter is @Ronan5757. My Instagram, where I post pictures of books, comic books, board games, and fuzzy animals, is EricSmith5757. That's Eric with a K, ERIKSMITH5757. And if you're on Blue Sky, I am @ELSmith. That's all I've got. This has been the Low Budget Review Show. I have been Eric Smith, and until next time, read more books.